Welcome, travelers, to my realm of nightmares. Allow me to be your personal assistant. Come in, take a seat, get comfortable. For when you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.
As a child, I was told by my parents to never dally in the bathroom. They told me a creature called our property its home. They told me if I took too long in the shower, or if I brushed my teeth for too long, it would come through the pipes and get me. I asked them why it would do that, and they said we would flood its home. Apparently, if I would be in there too long getting dressed or using the bathroom, this thing would become enraged and it would kill me. So, naturally, I made a habit of getting in and out of the bathroom. As I got older, I started to relax. This had to be some kind of elaborate ploy of my parents. They must have just wanted to keep the cost of water and electricity down. But I acquiesced to my parents' odd rules and demands. Later in life, I moved out and forgot all about these odd rules. I went to college and got married. But as my parents got older, they grew slower and slower in their routines. I am here writing this because my parents are moving. They have given me and my family the home. They said they could not sell the house to a new family because they would not know the rules. I will recount to you the details of what my family and I went through, and the reasons I did what I did. I don't expect half of you to believe me, and the other half of you, I don't expect to agree with me. This is just as much a confession as it is a warning. So, let's start with the events leading up to us being back in the house, and the nightmare that followed. The day I got the call was like any other. Wake up at 6 a.m. and get ready to start breakfast. My wife gets her and our daughter ready for school. As I was finishing the bacon and about to start the pancakes, the phone rang. That's strange. Who could be calling at this hour? I said to myself. I turned off the griddle and went to pick up the phone. On the other end was my father. Hey, son. I need to talk to you. It's rather serious. Can you come by this weekend so we can do it in person? My father sounded concerned about something. Yeah, Dad. I can swing by after work on Friday if you like. But what is this all about? Is everything okay with Mom? I was concerned, but my father quickly eased my worries. No, nothing like that, son. Just about the future. I want to discuss the house with you. The way he said that, there was an edge in my father's voice. Was it concern? Anger? I was not sure, but I told him I would come by Friday and bring the family with me as well. It had been a long time since they had seen their grandkids after all. After I got the call, I went back to preparing breakfast, and while we ate, I informed my wife and daughter we'd be going to see my parents on Friday after I got off work. My wife was not thrilled about this. She was not my parents' biggest fan. It had a lot to do with how they raised me, but our daughter loved them, so she bit her tongue. I knew that after our daughter went off to school, she would have some words for me. We ate mostly in silence. After we were finished, my wife put our daughter on the bus.
Thanks for breakfast, Daddy,
she said with a kiss on my cheek, and out the door she went. A few minutes later, my wife came in, and her look hardened as she began.
What the hell? Why are we going there after the shit they did to you as a kid? The kind of mental health issues you had from them tormenting you with an imaginary monster in the pipes. You know I don't like your parents, and they don't like me.
When she finished, she was mad, but she was more worried about my well-being. I loved her for this. Honey, I know you don't like them. I'm sorry I dropped this on you like I did, but something was wrong. I could hear it in Dad's voice. And yes, they fucked my head up for a long time, but I'm okay now. We'll go see what they want and what they have to say, and then leave. And we will have a nice home-cooked meal in the process. Say what you want about them, but my mom is a damn fine cook, I said with a wink, and she smiled faintly. Finishing up the conversation, we both left for work. I got into my SUV and pulled out of the garage. The drive passed by quickly as I pondered what my father could want. Why did he sound so worried? And what was that in his tone? In what felt like 10 minutes, a 45-minute drive passed by. I pulled my car into the parking garage and walked into my office. I got to my cubicle and began to check my emails as one of my coworkers that I've grown rather fond of came up to me. He commented on my appearance. "Whoa, bro, you look like shit. Something happened this morning? Someone kicked your puppy or something?" Dale had never been one with tact. He spoke his mind, for better or worse. I did appreciate that about him. So, when he said that blunt and tactless statement, I just answered. My father called. Something was going on with him and Mom, so I'm a bit worried. And on top of that, I got in a fight with Ruby. She hates my parents. I mean, hates my parents. So, it was a morning of sunshine and rainbows. I said this and laughed. Dale laughed as well. Well, shit, bro. That's a fucked up place to be. A real stuck in between a rock and a hard place sort of thing. A little bit of unsolicited advice. Always side with the wife. She can make your life miserable and take half your shit. Even worse, give you blue balls. He said this last part with a chuckle and a few sharp elbows to my ribs. I laughed with him and went back to work on today's projects. Around lunchtime, I was getting kind of tired, so I ate my lunch rather quickly and went out to my car. I set an alarm on my phone for 30 minutes, so I'd be back on time, and took a little cat nap. Here's what I dreamt. A little boy was in the bathroom finishing up his nightly routine. Getting out of the shower, he dried off and dressed in a rush. As he did, he kept looking back down at the drain. The water was dangerously low and almost fully drained. He could feel his heart rate increasing. Just as he finished dressing, the last of the water drained. He could hear something coming in the pipes. It sounded like it was rushing forward. The little boy ran out and jumped out of the bathroom door. As he spun around, he swore he could see ever so briefly a tentacle receding back into the pipes. I was ripped out of my dream and pulled back into the world of the living. I quickly noticed I was drenched in sweat. Was that a dream? It felt like a memory, but it can't be. Nothing like that ever happened to me. Did it? No. It's just a manifestation of my mind, brought on by the stress of what is going on with my dad. Getting out of my car and going back to work, I finished my work and went home. By the time I got home, Ruby had dinner made. Sam was bathed and ready for dinner. We ate, and it was a nice family dinner. Ruby was still cross with me for making her come to visit my parents. But I knew that it was less that she was mad at me, and more that she was scared of what will happen when I step foot back in that house. That evening, I laid down and had that dream again. But this time, I was not ripped out of my sleep just after seeing the tentacle pop out of the shower drain. After seeing it, I stood up and approached the doorway. The tentacle kind of just hovered there, not fully receding, but not trying to grab me. But it felt like it was calling to me. I made an attempt to step back into the bathroom, but just before I could, I felt a painful pressure come from my left arm. I turned around and saw my dad holding me in place with a stern look. I woke up and could not fall back asleep. I spent the remainder of the night trying to determine if this was in fact a memory, or my mind fucking with me. The alarm went off and I got up. Repeating the process from yesterday, I made breakfast for my family, and Ruby got Sam dressed. We ate in relative peace, but Sam was a glorified chatterbox, as that it was Friday, and she was excited to see her grandparents. We went about our day, and after work was over, we went to my parents. We all got into my SUV, and made the short drive to my parents. Yes, I did not move far from home. Sue me. My parents may have fucked me up, and I may have an irrational fear of my childhood home, but they are still my parents, and I love them. So yeah, I stuck close. I wish I would have moved away, far away, and here we are because of my choices. Okay, enough of that. Back to the story at hand. We pulled into my parents' driveway, got out of the car, and knocked on the front door. I heard footsteps approaching the door. The door opened, and in the doorway stood my dad. He looked tired and very worn down. I mean, I know it has been almost a year since I saw him, but he looked like he has aged at least 10. As he saw me, he smiled. "Whoa, look at all of you. You're a sight for sore eyes. Get in here." He greeted us warmly. "Hey, son. It's been a long time. It's good to see you. And look at you, Sam. You've grown up so much since the last time I've seen you. I know you and I don't get on well, Ruby, but it's even nice to see you," he finished with a warm smile. "Hey, Pops. Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah, this virus caused us not to get around here for obvious reasons, but I missed you and Mom." I said this as I gave him a hug. Sam rushed over to hug him as well. Ruby looked over at him and gave him a forced smile, followed by a curt nod with a,
Hello?
Ruby pushed by him and into the house.
Let's get this over with. I don't want to be here any longer than we need to be.
My parents were clearly offended and my mom wanted to say something, but they left a comment and go unchallenged. My mother and father showed us to the dining room, where the food had already been placed on the table. Mom always outdid herself. It was almost like Thanksgiving. My mom made turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, and her famous, at least to me, cherry pie. By the time we were done eating, everyone was stuffed. Even Ruby seemed to be in better spirits.
Thank you. That was a lovely dinner.
Ruby said with a smile. It seemed to lower the tension in the room. "Let's go into the living room for the conversation we have to have next," my father finally said after a few more minutes of idle chit-chat. We all made our way into the living room and took a seat, all except for my mother that got us all a glass of red wine. My father began to finally tell us why we were all here. "Son, I know you didn't have it easy as a child. Our rules may have seemed odd and maybe even a little cruel. Telling you about, well, let's call him the true owner of this land was something no child should hear. But I and your mother were trying to keep you alive. Nothing we said was untrue. On top of that, we are getting up in age, and it's getting harder and harder to maintain the delicate balance we have here. So, this brings us to why I brought you here. We are giving you the house. We could not sell it and sentence some poor soul to death, nor can we stay here any longer. So starting tomorrow, the house is yours. Do with it as you see fit," my father finished. Ruby, once again, got a bit angry.
You know, when I first met him, he was so messed up in the head, he had to go to therapy twice a week. Now that he is finally in a good place and he has his own family, what, you want to give him his childhood house where all this trauma was inflicted? I think not. Honey, let's go.
Ruby finished angrily. "Ruby, hold on. Let me talk to them for a minute, alright?" James finished matter-of-factly. "Mom, Dad, I don't want this house. I can't stop you from giving it to me, but the second my name is on the deed, I will fix this house up and sell it. I will give you some of the profit, but I do not want to ever live in this house again."
I'm sorry to hear that, son, but whatever you do, it is up to you. Once we give you the land, it is your choice. I just hope you see reason before it's too late.
His mother spoke up for the first time. Over the next few weeks, the paperwork was drawn up and looked over, and the house passed over to me and Ruby. We then brought an appraiser to the house. There's a lot more work that needed to be done than we originally thought. I spoke to Ruby at length about what we should do and what she thought our best options were. Together we chose to temporarily move into the house to fix it up so we could sell it faster. So we both took some time off work and went down there to start the renovations. So, the first day in the house, my mother left me a set of rules as a sort of refresher course of sorts, and this is what they said.
Son, I am so sorry I have to give you this burden to you and your family. No matter how short your stay in that house may be, just remember the rules of the house. If you can't remember them, here they are. 1. Do not take a shower or bath longer than 15 minutes. 2. After you get out, make sure you drain the tub. 3. Be out of there by the time the water is finished draining. 4. Don't wash your hands or brush your teeth for too long. Follow these rules and the creature that lives there should not bother you. Oh, and son, don't let little Sam in the bathroom by herself. To you, trust she learned all the rules. Love you, son.
I showed this to my wife, and well, she gave me an earful.
Seriously? This again? James, how many times is this gonna be brought up? Here, give me these.
She took them out of my hand and burnt them.
There. Now, let's just get this done and sell the house. Please, I don't want to be here any longer than we have to. Honey, I know I've been moody lately. I just worry that this may take its toll on your mental health.
She finished giving me a light kiss and went to go check on Sam. After reading the list and Ruby burning it, things went like they normally would. We worked on the house, got Sam ready for bed and for school, went to work ourselves. It honestly seemed like things were not as bad as my mom and dad made it out to be. Well, that was until our second week in the house. My wife had a very rough day at work, and she did what she always did. Grabbed a bottle of wine, drew a hot bath, and soaked in the tub. Normally, this wouldn't have been a problem, but this house had other things in mind.
I'm gonna go soak in the tub for a while, honey. My legs, feet, and back are killing me. Can you watch Sam for a little, please?
Of course, honey. I'll gladly hang out with one of my two favorite ladies. I was downstairs playing with Sam when I heard it. A growl coming from the pipes. I checked the clock and noticed it had been about 20 minutes since my wife had gone to soak. I remember rule 1, don't take baths or showers longer than 15 minutes. The color drained from my face and I ran up the stairs. I heard Sam call after me.
Where are we going, Daddy?
I burst through the door, only to be met with a confused Ruby.
What the bloody hell, James? Why are you up here when you're supposed to be with Sam?
My wife yelled at me. She's fine. I heard her growl from the pipes. Honey, get out of the tub now! I was frantic.
James, nothing is wrong. I'm fine.
I cut her off. Now! She got out of the tub reluctantly, and I emptied the tub. As I was leaving the bathroom, I swore I saw what looked like a tentacle following us. But when I looked back, it was gone. I joined them downstairs, and I could tell Ruby was cross with me. We played with Sam until it was bedtime. After laying her down, she finally spoke her mind.
What the bloody hell was that, James? You just left our daughter down there and forced me out of the tub. You know you're acting just like your father right now, enforcing the stupid rules he made you follow.
Honey, you don't understand. I heard her growl. And when I was leaving the bathroom, I swear I stopped speaking, thinking she would find me crazy.
So what, James?
Her tone was softer this time, but it still contained a hint of annoyance. I turned around, and I swore I saw a tentacle or something following us out of the bathroom. But I turned around, and nothing was there. I don't know what I really saw. I think being back in this house is messing with my head, I finished.
I'm sorry, James. I did not consider you being back here would mess with your head. I shouldn't have blown up on you like that.
She finished, walking over, putting her arms around my waist, and holding me close. We went to bed that night, and when we woke up the next morning, we talked about having a few people over to have a housewarming party.
Hey, honey, what do you think about having a nice little housewarming party? I think it'll help this place feel more like home and help ease your stress.
Ruby said in a tone that always made me feel like everything would be alright. Yeah, love, that sounds like a good idea. I'll make a few calls after work tonight. I gave her a kiss, and after that, we went to work. The workday passed by quickly. I was honestly excited to get a few friends together for a housewarming party. Getting home, I made a bunch of calls and made plans with my friends to come over. Ruby had done the same on her end. My parents would watch Sam that Saturday, so we could all unwind. Tomorrow's Friday, and the weekend would be here soon. So, I could not wait for this party to happen. Ruby was right. I needed to relax to make this house feel like mine. So, that's what we would do. Friday passed by without a hitch. Ruby and Sam followed rules without complaint, and soon enough, the new house felt a bit more like home. So, when Saturday came, my guard had been lowered a bit. Come to think of it, that's a typical human response. Nothing bad can happen. But it can. We just pretend like nothing bad can ever happen. Sorry, I'm getting a bit off topic here. Let me get back to the events of what happened. That's why you're all here after all. So, when Saturday got here, my parents came and picked up Sam. Hey Dad, hey Mom, thanks for watching Sam for me and Ruby. I really appreciate it, I said to them.
Yes, Mum and Dad, thank you. I hope this is not putting you out, with the new move and all.
Ruby chimed in sweetly. She rarely called them Mom and Dad. They were even taken aback. No, it's no trouble at all, my dad said. Ready to go, little one? Sam ran to them and they were out the door, but not before my mom had a brief word with me.
Honey, you know I trust you, but please be safe having guests over, especially when alcohol is involved. It could be a bad idea.
She kissed me on the cheek and left.
What was that about?
My wife asked. She told me to be careful with having a party at the house.
What? Does she think something's going to happen at the house? Our friends are going to get eaten by some imaginary monster?
She scoffed. I don't know, honey. Let's not worry about it tonight. Tonight is meant to be fun and not stressful. I kissed her and we went to set up for the party. Hours later, our friends had shown up and we started the party. It was such a great time. We drank, ate. Hell, we played my favorite game, Cards Against Humanity. It was so much fun. Sometime around 2 or 3 in the morning, most of our friends had cleared out. A few opted to stay the night, as they had drank too much and had no DD. Ruby and I went to bed, thought nothing of them staying. The rules had not even crossed our alcohol-addled brains. It was not long after we settled in for the night, and we heard it. One of our friends started to scream. I leapt out of bed and ran towards the screams. As I approached, I quickly realized I was running towards the downstairs bathroom. I hesitated as I heard the blood-curdling scream. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, but realistically was like 20 seconds, and burst into the bathroom. What I was confronted with broke me. My friend, at that point, I could not even tell you which one it was, had been ripped limb from limb. I woke up in the hospital the next day. I asked my wife what had happened, and she told me.
After you found Mike dead in the bathroom, you began to cry and tell everyone we need to get out of the house now or the house would kill us all. Everyone thought you were crazy until they saw the bathroom and the bloodbath that was in there. One of them called 911 and we all waited outside until they got there. The cops concluded that a crazy man came in through the broken window and killed Mike and fled through the same window. We are all cleared as suspects. As that murder, as violent as this one, we would have been covered in blood. We will not be able to go home. That's because our house is a crime scene.
She finished. I spent a few more days in the hospital, and after that, we got a hotel far from that accursed house, as that it was a crime scene. Finally, once the cops were finished, I put that fucking thing to the ground. And cashing in on the insurance policy. Yes, I know, insurance fraud and all of that. But we are not rich. I cannot afford that house, and to get another house. I have a family to care for. So that's my story. Like I said, half of you won't believe me, and the other half of you will think I'm a shit person for burning down my family home, committing fraud, and destroying a crime scene. But I don't care. Me and my family now live far from that house, and I sold that land to some poor farmer. I really hope they follow the list of rules for that land. If not, God have mercy on their souls, and forgive mine. Tonight's story is written by myself, and it's titled The Pipes. I just want to say a special thank you to Zori Audio VA for joining me in this video. Thank you so much, Zori. It was a pleasure having you, and I really look forward to collabing with you again in the future. If you enjoyed this, chances are you'll enjoy the rest of the content on my channel. Also, why not check out her channel? The links will be in the description below. Hey, did you know I have merch? Yeah, crazy, right? But I do. And if you like to walk around representing my realm and gaining new travelers, the links to my merch stores, as well as all of my other social medias, will be in the description below. As always, I'd like to thank my lovely Patreons. 242 Reads, Rando Calrissian, Pam, Seraphine the Midnight Bard, Creepy Clown Girl, Mia Mina, Philionactus, Hair-Raising Narratives, Spooky Boo Scary Storytime, Breaker19, and Nathaniel Nelson. If you'd like to join these lovely travelers by the light of my fire, you can do so by becoming a Patreon as well. As always, the support is always appreciated but never expected. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ding that bell for all future content if you're new.
But as always, travelers, once you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.